are in so much trouble. So much trouble. And I'm very confident in the fact that Blake is the bully. Blake was absolutely using Taylor, and I think
What happens when two of Hollywood's most powerful figures, Taylor Swift and Justin Bell, join forces to expose unsettling truths about Blake Lively? Behind the polished facade lies a world of fractured alliances, unspoken rivalries, and a lawsuit that upended everything. As insiders peel back the layers, the question grows louder. Was Blake truly the victim she claimed to be, or the architect of her own chaos? The answer, it seems, is far more tangled than anyone imagined.
Threatening Taylor Swift to publicly support her or else release 10 years worth of text messages, amongst other things. A source came to Justin Baldoni's lawyer, and Justin Baldoni's lawyer entered this into the motion, which of course did not go well with the judge because of some procedural issues. So the judge basically says, I got to reject it from the docket, and it's going to have to be re-entered in some sort of different way, because Taylor Swift's lawyer is involved in a lawsuit, a subpoena by Justin Baldoni's attorney in the District of Columbia. So there's some issues above my pay grade with why the judge rejected this right now, but the truth is the truth. And Baldoni wanted to get a subpoena of Taylor Swift so that he could look at this one email that proves that she was being extorted by Blake Lively. Well, who's the one who leaked this story? Candace Owens has it right here.
So who was the person? Who was Unexpected Dragon? Who was the person that very clearly after this Super Bowl thing got upset? Drum roll, please, you guys. Allegedly. Taylor Swift's father.
Of course.
Scott Swift. I love this so much. You guys, this means the mother of dragons, Khaleesi, forgot that there could be a father to the dragon, a father to...
By the way, fathers know best, okay? I'm a dad. I've been one for a whole year now. And let me tell you something. Somebody gets in the way of you, your family, your loved one, you're going to do what you need to do. And Taylor Swift may have taken the high road, but Daddy Swift, not so much. The original Swiftie says, I don't think so. And let me tell you something. This father Swift clearly thinks the world of Taylor. I think he moved his whole business from Pennsylvania to Nashville, right? Just so that they could see the All-American Rejects. No, just so maybe Taylor Swift will be opening for All-American Rejects for all we know. But either way, this is no surprise to me. And there were rumblings that this might be the case, but good for him. Go to bat for your family.
Her dragon, Taylor Swift. This savage man, Scott Swift, is going to turn me into a Swiftie. When I say a Swiftie, I don't mean a Taylor Swift fan, okay? I mean a Scott Swift fan, because this was his...
Blake Lively wasn't just performing in front of the camera. She was quietly commanding what happened behind it. During the filming of her intimate scenes with Justin Baldoni, she made an unexpected move, taking charge in ways few A-list actresses ever would. Though an official intimacy coordinator was credited, insiders say it was Blake's instincts and authority that truly dictated how those moments were staged. She effectively stepped into the role of an unofficial intimacy director, choreographing gestures, camera placement, and emotional pacing with meticulous precision. What others might have seen as overreach, Blake viewed as protection, a way to reclaim agency and preserve authenticity. She dictated lighting, posture, and even the rhythm of physical interaction, ensuring every frame projected vulnerability without exploitation. Crew members describe her as exacting, deliberate, and deeply in control. But that control would later complicate everything. The same woman who directed the choreography of those scenes would go on to accuse Baldoni of misconduct, igniting a storm of conflicting narratives. If she was the one dictating angles, movement, and tone, could she also claim she was powerless within them? That question soon became the industry's quiet obsession. Some saw her control as a shield, others as a calculated performance that blurred the lines between empowerment and manipulation. In the end, what began as an act of agency evolved into a paradox. Blake's determination to protect herself artistically may have become the very thing that undermined her credibility legally. The result is a story that straddles the uneasy intersection of power, perception, and performance, where control itself becomes both weapon and weakness.
Attorneys were quick to declare this a win for her side now that Justin has withdrawn the subpoena sent to Taylor and her legal team after the firm objected to the amount of the unwarranted fishing expedition, et cetera, et cetera. Lively's team was quick to reply with a statement and said that we are pleased that Justin and the Wayfair parties have withdrawn their harassing subpoenas to Taylor Swift and her law firm. We supported the efforts of Taylor's team to quash these inappropriate subpoenas directed to her counsel, and we will continue to stand up for any third party who is unjustly harassed or threatened in the process. Oh my God, what a big laugh. Now, the reality is why they did this, the reality of why they squashed this, they got what they wanted. Now, others have started reporting on what we alluded to when this initially broke, because I told you guys, look, I still firmly believe it, and I'm hearing it more and more through sources and people I'm talking to. There's only 3 people that this source who told Justin's team that they were extorted could be Tree, Taylor's manager publicist, or her dad, Scott, or her mom. Now, I'm leaning more towards her parents more and more. Candace Owens just went the other day and heavily implied it as well. I think we're on the same wavelength. Now, again, they haven't themselves confirmed it yet, and they may not want to, but it makes total sense, guys. You got to think about this. As Taylor Swift is now being extorted and threatened with all these text messages to come out, that doesn't help her brand at all. And she's a very powerful business with a huge fan base. I don't think they react well to bullies. I really don't. And I think this was too much for the entire empire to bear. And so it makes total sense that her parents or her manager were the ones who went out and said enough is enough. And now that they've squashed it, now, like, really think about it. Now that it's squashed, which all these outlets are trying to say, oh, no longer subpoena, no longer. Why do you think that really was? Now, this is my opinion, my conspiracy theory. It's exactly what it says right here. They got what they wanted. Now, if they have proof that Taylor's lawyer was threatened, if that's all real, that will come out in the process. And they clearly wanted it out there to send a warning shot to Blake and Ryan, who think they're on the road, winning, and they're winning. But no. If they can prove that Taylor Swift's team and lawyers, in fact, confirmed or gave them the evidence to show that they were asked not to do this, oh man, Blake, you are in so much trouble.
Justin Baldoni has long been regarded as one of Hollywood's most principled figures, respected both in front of and behind the camera. His name often appears in discussions about improving workplace ethics, with colleagues citing his focus on consent, communication, and emotional safety on set. That's why when Blake Lively's allegations accused him of crossing boundaries, the claims didn't just shock the public. They struck directly at the foundation of his carefully built reputation. Yet, according to multiple on-set sources, the reality of their working dynamic was far more complex than Blake's lawsuit suggests. Insiders describe an environment where Blake, not Justin, often took charge during their shared scenes, particularly the intimate ones now central to the controversy. She reportedly directed his movements, adjusted timing, and shaped emotional tone with meticulous control. One crew member recalled her stopping production mid-scene to guide Justin's performance, urging him to focus on connection and recalibrate his approach around her cues. Far from a passive collaborator, she appeared to operate as a co-director of sorts, assertive, precise, and deeply invested in shaping the portrayal. Witnesses claim Justin responded not with resistance but with deference. He was said to frequently check in, asking questions like, "Are you comfortable?" Or "Does this still feel right?" Behavior that painted him as cautious, not careless. Which raises a crucial question. How did a dynamic built on apparent collaboration unravel into legal conflict? Whispers from within the production suggest Justin's team possesses material, unreleased footage, text exchanges, and internal notes that could challenge the integrity of Blake's claims. These alleged records reportedly show her exercising creative authority over the very moments she now describes as coercive. The traits once framed as empowerment now stand at the center of a credibility crisis. And just as the narrative threatens to fracture entirely, another unexpected name enters the frame: Taylor Swift. Her quiet proximity to the dispute adds new layers of intrigue. Why step into a controversy so volatile, and what does she know that others don't? Whatever the answer, her involvement suggests this was never just a professional dispute. It's become something deeper, something personal, a story that could reshape everything the public thought it knew about all three.
handled them, just politely push them, throw some, glitter bombs in their face or whatever, hey, look, you got to do what you got to do to protect your family, and you love to see it, because here, this goes to show Taylor Swift, right? You think what you want about her. I think very highly of her. She's built $1 billion business and an empire as one of the biggest, if not the biggest pop stars of all time, and she writes all of her own music, so, as far as I have to say, beat it, right? We're all Taylor Swift fans here, whether you like it or not. And by the way, because I always rant on billionaires, but there are some billionaires who, by the way, I feel like should be taxed at a much higher level because of their wealth, that got it in more ethical ways than others. And yeah, you could hate on her for all the jet fuel she burns traveling around the world. I get that. But none of that matters to this story. The point of the story is, listen, this is why Taylor Swift felt so abandoned and betrayed by Blake Lively, because she has to keep such a tight-knit circle because everyone's out to get her. She's like if you were the All-American Rejects times a billion, okay? Sure, they can sell out a backyard in, Des Moines, but Taylor Swift sells out stadiums, right? She is huge. She can't fly, Spirit Airlines. She has to fly private. She can't go places because she gets swarmed. She wants to give one person a photo, then there's a line around the block. It's insatiable how famous she is. By the way, for Donald Trump to say she's no longer hot because he said so is laughable. She could sell out any place in the world, right? She could be like, all right, I'm doing a concert at the Sphinx, and then a bunch of, Egyptians are going to roll up there on their, look, hey, how are, so anyhow, the point is, King Tut's going to come out of his grave. Hey, I'd love to see you, big fan. So the point is that she's huge. And for Blake Lively to cross her, this at least is reinforcement that her father and her family have her back. Of course, her man, her boy toy, as it were, Travis Kelce, unfollows Ryan Reynolds. And this is a big, big story.
And by the way, I want to be clear. The reason why I respect this move is because it's his daughter, okay? I'm always going to respect a parent that is willing to burn it all down to the ground to protect their kid, okay? There's an element of that as a parent, real going to recognize real. And Scott Swift played me. He saw me. Scott Swift saw me. Fisherman always sees another fisherman. He saw me salivating for these text messages. He saw me being like, we're going to see the real Taylor Swift. And he was like, no, Candace, the world will never meet the real Taylor Swift. But what clearly set him off, given the timeline of you see a phone call allegedly coming in on February 14th, it would have been this extortion attempt. And I wouldn't try it. I keep trying to tell people, Taylor Swift's parents are not from nowhere. They're not nobodies. Scott Swift, what's his background? Stockbroker. Okay. Her family was so financially successful that when their little girl said, I want to be a singer, they up and moved her to Nashville.
I think Candace and I have, very similar ways of thinking. I could imagine Candace growing up played with a lot of dolls by herself. She just, and I don't mean this as an insult, but she's kind of got that creativity where she puts together all of the pieces in her head. It's not always right, but it's not always wrong either. And this is a big bombshell moment. So go check out that full conversation that Candace, I mean, hey, look, say what you want. You don't have to agree with her politics. I certainly don't agree with probably I don't know, 80% of her politics, but I got to recognize game where I see it, right? She's able to talk through the camera to her audience as if someone else is there, and they're not, and good for her. So she, came back from maternity leave to talk about the parental.
Blake Lively's lawsuit against Justin Baldoni targets some of the most private and sensitive moments the two shared on screen, scenes she now claims spun beyond her control. Central to her allegations are accusations of improvised actions that she says were never approved, painting Justin as someone who ignored consent and crossed boundaries. Among the most striking claims, that he added unscripted touches during filming which left her blindsided, and that he prolonged moments of intimacy beyond what was agreed upon, leaving her shaken and undermined. Together, they form a portrait of misconduct that appears damning on the surface, but insiders who witnessed those very scenes describe a starkly different reality, one that complicates Blake's narrative in profound ways. According to multiple crew members, it was Blake herself who often led the creative direction of her intimate scenes with Justin. Far from being overpowered, she reportedly reviewed camera angles, dictated choreography, adjusted pacing, and even directed Justin on the emotional tone she wanted. One crew member said her involvement felt like watching another director at work. If these accounts are true, the lawsuit raises a fundamental contradiction. How could scenes she so carefully shaped later be reframed as moments of unwanted improvisation?